U.S. intelligence agency, mind control.
3 12-year-old children were shot at a school in a suburb of Finland's capital on Tuesday. Police in Helsinki said one of the victims later died and 2 were seriously wounded. A fellow pupil suspected of the attack, a boy also aged 12, was taken into custody.
That was a joke. You're supposed to laugh at it because they're 12.
In the aftermath of the shooting, police cordoned off a building at the Viatola school. The arrest was made without further violence in another suburb, just over 2 miles away from the school. Some parents had to wait for 3 hours before they were able to collect their children.
Fucking kid went for a jog after gunning kids down.
Samuela Ano's son was in the school when the shooting happened.
I got a call from a friend that he just read the news that there had been some shootings in my son's school. So I just rushed here and I came to and I found out there was a lot of people there and the police were there too. So later on, we write our name and I pick up my son.
Police said both the suspect and the weapon were in police custody and that there were no other suspects for now. The suspect had admitted the attack in a preliminary interview, according to the police. They said the 12-year-old will be put in the care of social services because a child cannot be remanded in custody. Police said the motive was not clear and the permit of the handgun belonged to a relative of the suspect. The suspect and victims were pupils at the school. The Interior Ministry said a national day of mourning will be observed on Wednesday, with government buildings flying flags at half-mast. Finland tightened its gun legislation in 2010, introducing an aptitude test for all firearms license applicants. The age limit for applicants was also changed to 20 from 18. There are more than 1.5 million licensed firearms and about 430,000 license holders in the nation of
Finland doesn't just
that's a lot.
Yeah, they don't just have shootings, they have grenade attacks as well. I think one of the stories in here is about how their mass casualty incidents have increased. That one of the stories I put in there. Finland has them too.
Yeah. Oh, do they?
Mm-hmm.
Finland's population is 5.5 million, and 500,000 people have gun licenses. That's pretty good. That's a good.
Yeah, this
ratio.
whole narrative that Europe doesn't have guns.
Yeah, that's a pretty decent ratio.
And it's not just because there's more guns in America. There's something systemically wrong with our culture.
Yeah, it's literally the culture. It's the mimetic nature of it. It's the gamification of it through the media. It's the scare tactics of the politicians. It's the capitalist motivations of the gun industry.
Normal people.
It's all
normal people being just down with literal just going out and killing massive people. Who does that?
Yeah,
like people aren't. There's not that much derangement in other societies where people have these fascinations, and it's just because they can't get a gun that it doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's horseshit. Like most of the major mass shootings of last year were in Europe. Like that's the craziest part.
The 12-year-old boy who shot and killed a fellow 6th grader and severely injured 2 others in Finland has explained his motive was being bullied. Police said on Wednesday the boy had transferred to Viatola school near Helsinki at the start of 2024 and on Tuesday brought a relative's revolver to school, shooting 3 and threatening several others. Police say it was not clear how the child obtained the weapon. Hundreds of candles have been lit and flowers laid on the ground outside the school grounds on Wednesday as people mourned. One mother told Reuters her son had also been bullied at the school.
I would probably want teachers and adults to react faster to those signs of bullying. Their system, and I don't know if this is how it works in all schools or just here, is that they take a really long time to discuss things and set up meetings. There's a lack of resources, and I would want more resources so that such incidents could be resolved.
So like that's one of the things with the Nordic democracies. Is that they are more democratic, so it takes a while. That's one of the things that you'll see, like where there's more democratic involvement with people, the government is more indecisive and they take a while for things to get done. But with a country with a small population that they have, it's perfectly workable. Unlike ours, who gets nothing done for no fucking reason.
Yeah, just because. Because right now I'm annoyed, so I'm gonna fuck over everybody. Yeah,
literally just to
also
get points on polling.
Notice how in response to exactly. Also notice how in response to gun violence, school shooting incident, the Finnish weren't screeching and being like more gun control. They're like, yeah, maybe the school should have
Yeah,
done
well,
more about
they
bullying.
think they've already had the policies in place to prevent it. The kid, like, it was just like a handgun that the kid was able to obtain from a relative. So,
Mm,
like, what are you going to do? Have more like, this is the things that I talk about to prevent actual like
yeah.
gun deaths, not mass shootings, right?
Mm-hmm.
To,
Yeah.
to have your pistol stolen and used in a mass shooting is very unlikely. To have somebody use your gun to kill themselves, way more likely.
Mm-hmm.
Dressed immediately.
Finland has seen
But I would almost say it's a difference in even the way people think in Scandinavian countries, not even European, Scandinavian specifically
Well, that's
to
why
the West.
the bombing, the grenades are a specific thing to that region as well.
Yeah. It's just very interesting to see how they respond to this in comparison to other countries in Europe
Yeah, 'cause
and
look
the
at the
global north.
Serbia gun.
Yeah. Instant gun control was their response, not why did it happen.
Well, I think
They didn't even ask the question.
realistically, what more gun control could they want in this situation? More regulation on and locking it at your home?
Like, yeah, what more could have happened? It was just one of those events. It's the same with
They
the New
have enough
Zealand one,
policies
right? The
in
New
place to
Zealand
prevent
one.
these things.
Yeah, and like the New Zealand one, I've spoken to so many Kiwis who I had to ask about this. I'm like, what is like gun culture actually like in New Zealand? Like nobody gives a shit, right? You could pretty much buy essentially what Americans could buy, and this happened, and now everybody loses their rights because one dude decided to go and shoot up a couple of mosques, and kill 50 people, and now all Kiwis get fucked over. Like it's just such an interesting mindset to be like, yeah, gun control instead of actually figuring out why and how the guy was radicalized to that point, not the
Mhm.
actual act itself, and then fixing or altering or warning or setting up safeguards against the route that that guy specifically took to reach that point. And all of these ones like this are all mimetic.
I think
So there's a deeper
specifically as
problem.
well, the amount of like them thumbing their noses at America and like how
Mm.
violent and like everyone's like people from Europe are literally scared when they come here,
Yeah, it's so funny.
right? So like the amount of rhetoric that is used to look at America through this negative light of mass shootings that the world
Mm.
does, it makes it much more dramatic when it happens in their countries as well.
Yes.
I
Yes.
think
Um,
without, especially considering Donald Trump was around at the time and it was like a woman-led
mhm.
government, you know, and like I have nothing against her like Jack does, but you know, like I think she was competent enough.
What, Jacinda Ardern?
Yeah, like
No, I just my biggest issue with her is the way that she dealt with that. Because what she could have done instead of going and calling for global censorship was going to the countries that have had these events happen, actually analyzing the memetics behind it and doing a multi-country coalition to figure out what the fuck the problem is. Instead, she goes, "Let's censor the internet for the globe." Fuck yourself. Like, get fucked.
We will continue
Like,
to be
what a
your single
joke.
source of truth. Dismiss anything else.
Exactly. That's my biggest problem with it. It's just, it was such an irrational way to fucking go about it. Like, I understand the response internally with the guns. I get it. Emotional responses, emotional legislation, we get it. It happens all the time. Every country does emotional legislations to mass casualty events. You're not going to stop it because people are going to be like, do it now. And then you get policies like Australia where you get shotguns in 5 different categories of your gun policies because it's written by people who are fucking morons. But in countries like Finland, they actually look at what the government's doing and maybe they can do something a little bit better to prevent stuff like this even coming to a head, even not even occurring, just coming to the point where they can actually occur. So I don't know. It's just very interesting to see the mentality differences. So fuck Jacinda Ardern.
in a rising level of bullying in schools, with 8.6%
Talk about a country with a better female leader, Finland.
To pupils around 12 years old, saying they had been targeted at least once a week,
Estonia.
up from 7.2% in 2019, according to a 2023 study by Public Health Institute, THL. Flags were flown at half-mast on public buildings for a national day of mourning. The 2 other injured pupils remain in hospital. After deadly school shootings in 2007 and 2008, Finland tightened its gun laws. There has been no immediate calls for the country to change it further.
Here we go. We'll do this.
Are you aware of a CIA psychological profile about you, sir? Would you be interested in hearing what the CIA had to say? This secret study portrays as a brilliant but dangerous megalomaniac who is likely to pursue his own aims in disregard of U.S. interests. He's an uncertain ally. Shall I go on, or would you prefer that I stop, sir?